If you think today's show's gonna be dull, you don't know jack. Stay tuned. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're in the Design Center at the Stone Temple in the industrial park behind Myrtle Beach Lighting. We're focused on radio and television, and we're visiting with a longtime broadcaster, Banana Jack Murphy. Good morning, Jack.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks so much for coming in.
I had to get up early to be here.
I know you did. That's
I'm sleeping in a lot lately.
I love it. I love it. You are taking it easy, but you got to be on. You'll be on air in about 45 minutes. About an hour.
With the television show. Yeah,
the
River Talk.
CW. You've been doing that since '97.
Can you believe that?
That's amazing.
I certainly can't, and I'm sure the sponsors can't believe that I'm still doing that show either. It's hard to believe.
A decade this year.
Wow.
Do you know the exact date? You don't remember the exact date, the first day you went on, do you? We need to check with Donald.
It was in June of
was it in
'97,
June?
yeah.
So next month, will you be celebrating your 10-year anniversary? We need to do something special for that. Throw a party.
I've been doing River Talk longer than I've been married to Barb, my wife.
You all met that same year, though, right? Or
no,
you
we met in
married
'95.
Oh, you met in '95, but married in '97.
On the radio show. Yeah.
You married on the radio show?
No, we met on the radio show. No, I would never do anything for ratings. Probably should have.
Oh, my God.
I might have still had a radio gig.
Oh, wow. Speaking of that, yet, of course, a lot of our viewers in the PD and southeastern North Carolina have been listening to you for a long time, but particularly the folks here in Horry County and the Grand Strand, the Myrtle Beach area, been well known, of course, on WKZQ, 101.7 for many years, and then since 2001 on Wave 104 when you made the big move to replace Howard Stern.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
2 or 3 days after that took place.
I bet. There must have been some hate mail coming in.
Yeah, just a little bit. But, you know, my family's over that now. And we still speak at the family reunions. We buried that axe.
Oh, my God.
That was a little funky. You know, the thing is that when you've done radio, especially in one town for so long, you see trends. Right. You see things. History does repeat itself. The thing about being replaced by a syndicated show is funny because when Stern was on the air, he had ratings.
Right.
But this is an area of the country where just because you have ratings doesn't necessarily transcend into ad dollars.
Right.
And
right.
And they had trouble getting and keeping sponsors on that show.
Is that right?
Yeah, because of the content of the
Sure,
of the
he
show.
would just go off the wall someday,
Yeah.
and an advertiser would call in and say, I am through with Wave 104.
Well, I don't know if necessarily that happened or not.
Could, sure.
Yeah, and there was just some folks who wouldn't associate their business with
Right,
that.
right.
So that's where I stepped into the picture. I was like...
wholesome.
I would not say that, but when he came into the market, it allowed me to do some things that I wouldn't ordinarily do. But
right.
you know, I live here. You got to be really, really careful because this is still a small town.
Yeah, sure.
Based on, you know, trust me, if I said something bad on the air, I would hear about it at the grocery store, at the dry cleaners.
You've got that many dedicated viewers that are tuning in that regular.
Sure.
That, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it's funny because. Revenue-wise, you know, I don't want to dwell on the whole thing that took place with Next Media because they were good to me, and they allowed me to do a farewell broadcast, which is unheard of.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. No, go ahead. That's right.
But it's just interesting that the reason I replaced Stern was because they wanted a local presence.
Right.
And so now they've completely forgotten why I went over there to begin with, and so, you know.
Now, was the same crew at the helm in 2001 when you came in?
Locally, I don't think this decision came down from like locally.
Right.
With the market manager. He's a great guy. I don't have any bone to pick with him. This came from a corporate program point of view. The operations manager here is a friend of mine. We remain friends now.
Sure.
I'm still friends with everybody there.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't want to burn any bridges.
Right.
It wasn't how I wanted it to end, obviously. After 18 years, 1 day's notice. But, you know, I got to go on the air and say goodbye. A lot of people are still just finding out about it. And,
yeah, sure.
But, you know, it's weird. I don't miss it as much as I thought I would, Greg.
Is that right, Jack?
Yeah, my alarm clock would go off at 3:45.
I was about to say, you were up very early in the morning to be there. And what time were you regularly in the studios, either at Wave or at KZQ?
I'd get there at 5 in the morning. Show would start at 6.
Sure.
I try to give a guy a good 5-hour day.
Oh my God! Yeah.
You know, that's the
So
kind
you're
of
there from 5 to
employer
10. That's right. For the most part, there was no need to hang out.
Yeah, I'd
much.
hang out and do
Right.
commercial production. So I
Sure.
would typically stay there till noon.
Okay.
But 12:01, you no longer become a morning man. You slip into afternoon time. So that was the cue when I'd hit the door.
Quickly out. Yeah.
But it was a good ride, and I met a lot of friends, made a lot of contacts, and it's been a big move, obviously. And
Yeah.
the initial shocks worn off, and I'm loving the fact that I get to sleep in. And
I love it too.
Yeah.
Your last broadcast was exactly 2 weeks ago today, this morning. I mean,
Sure.
it was occurring. Share with viewers what that was like. Of course, when you're in a setting and you've been there for almost 18 years. I think you said you've been in radio 24 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a desire to get back in it now, or I mean, are you missing it already? Of course, you're probably not. But share with viewers what that maybe give TV viewers a sense of what it's like behind the scenes in a radio in a cockpit or whatever it is there that you're broadcasting to viewers from.
I equate it to a messy divorce where the last words after you're handed the divorce papers is, "We can still be friends." I mean, that's how I would necessarily, because I didn't see it coming, and then
Yeah.
right out of the blue, that's about the closest thing I could say.
Yeah.
Because it was a personal business. My approach to how I did the show was completely different than most folks.
Mm-hmm.
I was never the greatest guy that was ever on the air in Myrtle Beach by any stretch of the imagination.
Who was that, by the way?
Wow, don't put me on the spot
I'm
there.
sorry, Jack. Yeah, that's. Who are some of the great? Go ahead. Finish your sentence. Forgive me.
You've messed me up.
I'm sorry. You were saying
I used to be
I'm
so
by
sharp
far,
at this
I'm not
hour in the morning.
that's
I'm
right.
rusty. I can never go back. But I had it was comfortable for me.
Right.
When you do something 18 years, you get to know what they would call. I would
Yeah.
know when people would have birthdays, when
Right.
their dog was lost,
Right.
and I just said, man, somebody's dog's lost. I would mention it on the air. People are like, why'd you do a lost dog announcement? Have you ever lost your dog? And it's funny because to this day, and this will go on and on and on. People assume that I know them, and I've never met them.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the beauty of how we did our show.
Right.
We just talked to people. We didn't talk at them. And that was something that I learned from growing up in a small town. You're just nice to everybody because you never know. Donald Smith, who produces your show and my show, River Talk, back, I'm thinking 13 years ago, we used to throw him, some chump change to do some camera work for a television project I was in.
Myrtle Beach Days. Yeah, you and Ralph.
You got to be nice to everybody
Right.
because you never know where that's going to take you.
That's true. That opened the door for him to ask you to do River Talk for his show.
Sure
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Share with viewers real quick what it's like on the air, just to give a sense of what a radio setting is like. What are you doing in there for 4 hours? I mean, is it, there's a lot of pre-recorded stuff? I mean, what's that like, even if you're doing a local show? Just give
I've
us a
always
sense
done
of-
a one-man show. It was a
Right.
little different. Occasionally, back in the early days at KZQ, when I came in, I will tell you, Banana Jack Murphy, I never assumed that air name until I came to Myrtle Beach.
Is that right? So
I
for
had
your-
to be Banana something.
Right.
And
why-
my legal name just did not jive.
Yeah.
Just did not jive, and I'm not going to reveal that
That's
now
right. It's
because-
still a big secret.
Yeah, it's a big secret, because chicks still dig me.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll be looking for me. And
That's
stuff.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. Looking up Jack Murphy. Where is he?
See
Where
that
is
right
he?
there? You have one of
Yeah.
those. They're like,
Oh,
there's a
that's
man
right.
who can commit.
That's right.
But it was really fun. I had to be Banana something, and the whole way we presented that, I was hanging out at Pawleys Island,
Right.
in front of what used to be the A&P, with a suitcase and a case of bananas. And leading up to that, we had staged this deal that I was a pool boy in the Caribbean, and I was trying to get back to the Carolinas where my family was. And we did this for about 2 weeks. KZQ was doing a power upgrade, and I had to be Banana something, and just couldn't figure out a name. Well, Banana Jack.
Right.
I just said, that just rhymes.
Yeah.
And
it does.
Jack is a takeoff on a family name, Jackson.
Right.
So I said that, and my legal name, everybody called me Merv.
Right.
I will tell you, one of my names is Marvin. Banana Marvin would not cut it, would it?
Cut it.
It just would not cut it.
You're
So
right.
I just became
Barb
Banana.
would have never married you.
She'd have never married
That's
a
right.
Marvin.
Yeah. Not that there aren't some great Marvins.
Oh, sure, yeah. Name one. Okay.
Look, pal, I tried to get the radio broadcaster out of you, and you didn't name
Marvin Kalb was one. Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
it. Okay.
Yeah. And
You're going a lot further than I
then
was.
Messy Marvin, the cartoon character. So that was essentially it. I had to be Banana something back in '89, and that's how that worked out.
Yeah.
It is different because doing a one-man show, you can't compare what I did to like some of the big satellite guys or even some of the other morning shows, because when you have two people, then you're obviously drawing on more experiences. And I learned that I just was, not that I didn't have enough to say, I could talk nonstop for 4 hours, but why? So the music actually became the main part of the show, because there's nobody who plays music on a morning radio show.
And of course, viewers or listeners would have never seen you had you all not been very out in the open and plastering your face all over the place and utilizing the web there. But for listeners who'd never even seen any of those things, they could see you clearly that last broadcast 2 weeks ago. And maybe you can give a little sense of what that was like for folks who weren't in town or just hearing about it now who may have missed that. It was pretty emotional. That last, and of course it's supposed to end at 10, and they let you have the first break of the 10 o'clock hour, so those 2 minutes, a lot of folks may not have recognized the emotion that was coming out
cried
of
like a little girl.
Yeah, I
got choked up. I went through the whole show because it was emotional. I was in the process of planning the 18th anniversary, where I was going to have folks that I'd interviewed and done just to call in and say hello. You know how you do all those.
Yeah.
Well, on one day's notice, you can't get anybody to do that.
So on Monday, the 16th, they met with you and said...
Right after my broadcast, and the way we shoot River Talk is that I would actually leave the radio station promptly at 10 and start shooting TV at 11.
Right.
So in between there, after I was told I needed an answer by 5 o'clock, I had to go do River Talk and interview employees of the company of which I'm no longer a member.
You were interviewing folks
I interviewed Steve Porter.
Lord,
and he's talking about how
we
great
love Next Media.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm like,
going on a trip.
I didn't let on.
Yeah.
That was some good acting right there. That could get me an Emmy.
You need to get those back home. Stream them online.
Yeah,
Tiger Radio. Yeah.
So that was an interesting day.
Wow.
And so it was.
So they met with you right at 10 and just said, just simply, I mean, to give us a little sense of what, without picking on the guy or gal who had to meet with you.
No, the decision has been made.
I'm sorry, the decision's been made, and your show's being canceled, and
they
putting in hot beer.
They wanted
and
me to
nuts.
stick around.
Right.
They did. In all fairness, they offered me the 9 to noon slot, but financially. It was an insult.
Right.
But they did offer.
Sure.
Because they did want me to hang around, and I just thought it would be more advantageous for them for me to stay around. And having done some research on the show that previous night, I didn't like some of the things that the show was doing.
The new show
that's on
it's
now.
Hot beer and nuts, or
close.
Free beer and hot
wings.
Hot wings.
For those that think Banana Jack is a stupid name,
right.
Free beer and hot wings.
Okay.
And those guys, in all fairness, they do a pretty good show.
Where are they based?
Somewhere in Michigan.
In Michigan.
Yeah.
So that's coming out from Michigan.
Yeah.
Right. But it's live. How is it? It's just fed by satellite or something?
Fed by satellite. It's on other stations, and it is hard to believe that it was cheaper to get a satellite show than it was to keep me. It's kind of weird.
Wow.
But they did offer me a position, but when I stopped and thought about it, I was like, well, I don't like what these guys are doing. Their content is a little racier.
Be tough to come after.
Yeah.
Sure. So. Well, that is very interesting. So you cried like a baby, Jack.
And
you've got a son, Tristan.
At the end, I did. I got choked up because the reality is that this could well be it.
Yeah.
But only if I want it to be. If I want to get back in radio.
It was emotional for all your listeners. Of course, I wasn't a regular Wave listener, but and of course, it was great that they did give you that first 2 minutes of the end of the break or into that next show.
Sure.
To give you the chance to wrap it up there. But for folks who, in radio, you're just listening and trying to picture things. TV without sight, you're just trying to picture it. And of course, to picture you in there, standing there with, I guess, Prez or somebody in tears, that's a tough thing.
It was weird.
Yeah.
I wish I could have. It is what it is. I mean,
And you and Barb, was she there with you or waiting for you out?
No, she was at home. She called in. She's been real supportive and real great about this. When we got the word, the marketing side of her came out because I have another business that I do on the side. We'll get to that in a bit.
Let's talk about that.
But I told her at 5 o'clock on Monday when I was supposed to already made the decision.
Right.
And I says, you got 5 minutes. And she was in her office because she does some things on the side as well. And she goes, what are you selling? I was like, I'm not selling anything. You know, I've always told you that I could no longer be in radio at the drop of a hat. I says, tomorrow's my last day.